morning, it's Fun Uncle Scott, and it's February 1st. You'll know I keep looking down. That's because I'm going down some stairs, and it tends to be a little icy here. This morning, I'm at Silver Falls State Park in Oregon's beautiful Willamette Valley. There's a number of waterfalls around here, as you can see, and it's just a brisk but beautiful morning. Switch back. Anyhow, today I thought I'd give you a little bit of history about myself. Kind of draw people in, if you will. So I grew up in northern Minnesota, up near the Canadian border. I could actually literally see Canada from my bedroom window. It was kind of a neat place to grow up, but it was definitely out in the middle of nowhere. We were about 300 miles north of Minneapolis. Ooh, there's that waterfall again. I think I'm on the trail of 10 waterfalls. But anyways, grew up in northern Minnesota. Through high school, I worked in a taxidermy shop. And then after graduating, I moved to Vermont. And I lived kind of in central Vermont, on the west side, middle of the state. A little town called Rutland. And there I spent another year working at a taxidermy shop. And after that, decided it was time to move on and do something else. So I spent 3 seasons as a ski lift mechanic. And that was a pretty interesting experience, to say the least. Got used to cold weather, got used to working in cold weather. And after 3 seasons of that, I decided it was time to move on to something with a little bit more of a future. So I ended up going to GE Aircraft Engines and was a tool and die apprentice there in Vermont. And that was really kind of a neat job. Learned a lot. And during all this time, I had started doing a little hiking and doing a little rock climbing. I used to go up to a place called Deer's Leap to go rock climbing out there in Vermont. It was a lot of fun. But yeah, that was kind of wasn't really the beginning of the outdoor stuff. But it was sort of the beginning of going in the outdoors for things other than hunting or gathering firewood. But so those were kind of a transformative, those were transformative years for me. So after GE Aircraft Engines, after I graduated from the apprentice program at GE Aircraft Engines, I decided it was time to try the West Coast. So at that time I moved out to Oregon, out here to Oregon. It was fantastic. And I gotta say, when I first came to Oregon, it was the first time in my life I really felt like I was home. This is really the place I enjoy. This is Lower South Falls, by the way, 93 feet according to the side. I don't know if you can see that there. But yeah, so I moved to Oregon and did a lot of outdoors. Started doing I did a lot of rock climbing, a little bit of hiking, and started doing some mountaineering, some like a little more serious mountaineering. And it was good. Did a lot up in the north there in the Oregon Cascades, which is kind of cool. Oh my gosh, looks like we're gonna actually walk behind the waterfall. Hopefully it's not too icy back there. But yeah, hopefully you can still hear me. But anyways, I started doing a lot of mountaineering in the Oregon Cascades, and then I started classes at the University of Oregon. I was in their science department. I got a bachelor's degree in physics, which is actually kind of fun. It was Eugene was a great place to go to school, and physics was a lot of fun for me. I really enjoyed it. It's a little icy here right at the moment, but it's pretty level, so that helps. And during my time at the University of Oregon, I continued to do a lot of mountaineering. Mount Hood, the Three Sisters, Three Finger Jack, Mount Washington. Hopefully you can still hear me over all this. And then after I graduated with my degree in physics, let me bring the camera in a little closer. After I just graduated with my degree in physics, I moved up to Seattle to work for Mountain Safety Research as a prototype fabricator. Oh, we're really close to the waterfall. And you can probably see those nose hairs now. I should have trimmed those this morning. But anyways, wow, that is really cool. Anyways, I worked as a prototype fabricator. And when I made the move to Washington, it was shortly after that, I went up with a friend and we climbed Denali up in Alaska. And that was quite a trip. That was just the two of us in the group. But there's a ton of people up there, so that wasn't like we were totally out in the middle of nowhere. But I gotta tell you, the flying in and getting off the plane, it kind of got real fast. So that was quite an experience. 16 days, 13 days up, 3 days down. We lived on pretty much all snow and ice. A few footprints on rocks on occasion, but pretty much just snow and ice. So that was probably my longest trip out in one stretch. After that, I started doing a fair bit of sailing and ended up doing a lot of sailboat racing, which is really fun. I enjoyed that a lot. I was racing 3 or 4 days a week and raced on a bunch. Oh, there's a squirrel. Raced on a bunch of different boats. Everything from a Laser 2 to a Nelson Merrick 68, and pretty much everything in between. One of my favorites is the Peterson 41 called High Noon. If you're listening, Mike and Karen, that was my favorite boat. Anyways, did that for quite a few years. Then eventually I left Mountain Safety Research and went to an aerospace company up in the Kent Valley of Washington and spent 8 years as a project engineer for that aerospace company. There's the waterfall. You see the trail back there where we just came. Spent 8 years doing that. And during that time, I did some paragliding. I flew paragliders for, I don't know, 3 or 4 years. And then I hurt my back, had a ruptured disc, had to have surgery. I'm not sure if that was paraglider related or just from lifting heavy things. But anyways, after that, I did a lot of cycling, did some bike racing, rode a couple of bicycle ultra marathons, Seattle to Spokane in a day, once over I-90 and once over Highway 2. Those were long, long freaking days. But, you know, the good thing was the bike was set up nice, so it was comfortable. And but yeah, those were 20 hours each of those trips. And then after that, after the cycling, I started getting into flying, which I do a lot of now when I'm not hiking. So that kind of brings us up to the present day. So I wanted to kind of talk to I use the word so a lot. You should use this video as a drinking game. Every time I say the word so, you got to take a shot. But anyways, I haven't done a lot of hiking lately, but I do have a little bit of history. One of my goals once was to spend 100 nights in a tent during a calendar year. I never quite made that when I was doing a lot of mountaineering, but I came close. I think I was in the 80s one year. So I'm no stranger to being out in the woods a lot. So I think I'll be okay. And then last year I tried this running challenge to run 1,000 miles, which for someone like me who's a couple 100 pounds, that's a pretty good challenge. But anyways, that's kind of a little bit of my background. And that brings us up to that brings us up to the current day, and that's a little bit of my background. So hopefully that was interesting and not too boring. And so if I make references to things in future videos, you'll have some idea what I'm talking about. But anyways, so that's it for today. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe and hit that like button and leave a comment. Let me know a little bit about what you like, what you don't like, what you think you might want to see. If there's some place in Oregon you want me to go hike, I can do that. The PCT in Oregon right now is buried under, I don't know, 10 or 20 feet of snow, so I'm probably not going to head up there before I head to the trail start. But anyways, yeah, let me know what you want to see, and hopefully we'll see you out in the trail.